What's up, Airsofters? My name is Lane, and welcome to the BB Warrior. So for today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than we typically do. What we're going to be doing is kind of a little bit of a channel update, and then I'm going to be taking your questions for a live Q&A in the second half of the video. So for anyone that is new to the channel, welcome to the BB Warrior. My name is Lane. This channel was created to help you guys have a better time both on and off the airsoft field. So I kind of want to give a little bit of an update on the channel because I know that videos have been kind of slow lately. I know that they aren't going out at the rate that I used to. Hey guys, for those of you who are starting to get into the live stream, I mentioned earlier I will be doing a Q&A later in the video, but first I want to give an update, explain why videos have been kind of inconsistent in their publishing date. Hey Eric, I love you. Um, so the world is kind of weird. If you've been watching the news, coronavirus has had an effect on a lot of things. I'll talk about that in a minute. But in my own personal life, things have been kind of busy. I've kind of been killing myself with everything that I've been doing. Many of you know that I am a full-time college student, and because of that, things are chaotic. And on top of that, I also do some freelancing. I've been doing sports broadcasting for companies like ESPN, which has been an incredible learning experience. But at the same time, I also had an internship that I was doing, which was taking up about 20 hours a week of my time or so. So between all of that, sitting down to be able to make videos has been honestly kind of hard. It's been hard to juggle all of that in addition to what I want to do here on YouTube, stuff that I haven't even started yet that I want to do. So it's been a very difficult couple of months, but very rewarding at the same time. So as you all know, COVID-19 is spreading across the world, and people are kind of freaking out, and they're stocking up on toilet paper and hand sanitizer, even though they won't do anything. That's besides the point. My college system, which is the State University of New York, SUNY, has decided to cancel all in-person classes. While that kind of sucks for me, that is a great opportunity actually because I'm able to focus more time on YouTube and some other of the freelancing aspects that I want to do in my career, which for me is fantastic. This is something that I wish I was able to devote more time towards, and now I'm able to, which is great. So there's always kind of a silver lining. Because SUNY canceled all like in-person classes, that included my internship, which I was learning a lot there, which was really disappointing. Last night was my last day, and it was pretty sad. But besides the point, so what we're going to be doing is right now I'm just pulling up it on my laptop so I can do questions in a minute. I kind of want to give an update. The great thing, yeah, actually, my spring break starts tomorrow, Alex. I actually have a class in about an hour and a half I got to go to and figure out how we're going to do it online because my major doesn't offer online classes. So that'll be a fun discussion for today. So, anyways, future plans for the channel. Because I have this free time on my hands because I won't be going to college every day, I plan on continuing a kind of regular schedule. I'm not going to say a video a week. I'm not going to say two a week, even though that'll probably be what it is. I just don't want to commit to that just yet. I want to see how much I can get done in the next week, see kind of what life will be like in 2 or 3 weeks for myself. Truthfully, it's kind of hard to plan for anything in the future right now because I have no idea what's going on. Because within 48 hours, no longer going to college. One of my jobs is kind of doesn't exist anymore. I do sports broadcasting, and sports have kind of been canceled all around. I think the only things in the U.S. that are still going are PGA and NASCAR are the only two like major sporting events that are going on. MLB got delayed as well. So I have no idea how to plan for the future, admittedly. So going forward, I do want to spend more time on airsoft, and yeah, it'll be a good time. There's some videos that now that I have more free time, I can do that I've wanted to before. Something that I'm really excited about is that I decided, Lane, airsoft's a money pit. Might as well throw more money into that fire. So I decided I need a new project gun. My last project gun was the Wolverine Airsoft MTW. If you watch my review, I kinda didn't like that gun. I'm still working on fixing it very slowly. Like I said, airsoft because of college has really not been on my mind. But I thought, you know what? I had some troubles with HPA. Let's buy another AEG. So I did just that. So this is the VFC MP5 A5. These are distributed here in the U.S. by Elite Force, and I do want to say a huge thank you to Fox Airsoft. They were the folks that I bought this from, I should say. and they've been huge supporters of the channel for a couple of years now, and without them, a lot of the content that I've made wouldn't be possible. But I decided, you know what, might as well just buy a new airsoft gun. So I've got some plans for this bad boy here. Probably going to turn it into a DSG, just because that's something I've never owned, and I think that would be kind of fun. A lot of the fields in my area are starting to get kind of weird about HPA and putting some restrictions on them that I won't necessarily agree with. It's their business, so they can do whatever. Um, so yeah, that'll be a fun project for the future. Talking about future videos, I've got a good backlog of guns to review. I've got some pistols to review, even though I've done a lot of those in the last year. I've got some rifles to review. I've got like this one here. I've also got some collaborations that I'm working on and that I already have filmed. Some of those are with the Gun Gamers folks. I know that there's a pretty big overlap between our channels. I know that Eric is shit posting in my comment section right now. I can see that. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun couple of months. As it gets warmer, it's about 3 weeks until the local airsoft scene really starts to develop in my area. So, I mean, I'm just kind of waiting for that at this point. My local indoor field that's actually good, like the closest decent indoor field for me, it's about 6 hours or so. There's some others that are closer to me, but they're just not my thing personally. So as soon as the airsoft season starts kicking up again, then I can finally, start to make more content, get to play airsoft more. It's hard to talk about airsoft when you haven't played airsoft in a couple of months. And this winter has really been a dry spell for me because I've been so busy. But overall, I would expect things to get back to semi-normal here on the channel. I think I might do more of these live streams depending on if people like them. Maybe bringing a couple people on and doing like a roundtable type thing. Who knows? But those are some of the plans for the future. But I'm going to start to take some questions. So if you want to put questions in the Q&A, I'll start answering those. One of the questions that I've seen a lot pop up, which seems timely, is how is coronavirus going to affect airsoft, and what do I think of that? One of the things that I think is going to happen is that airsoft really, I don't see it being that affected for events. Possibly logistically getting products into the country because they're all made in China or Taiwan. That might be an issue. Um, Thank you, Eric. I am gonna lose my composure. I see that down in the comments, but I think that like really it won't affect airsoft too great. I think that like I've seen a lot of people like, oh, what about events? I saw an update from Milsim West last night that said, oh, excuse me, I completely lost my train of thought. Thanks, Eric. Milsim West won't shut down unless the local or state government tells them to. I've seen other events such as Omega Productions, which is a great company. Definitely check them out if you're looking for the more LARP heavy side of airsoft. I mean, there's going to be 100 people on like 700 acres, they said, so you're not going to be in super close contact with people. So I don't think it's going to affect airsoft in that end. I could see issues getting products into the country though. Yeah, the Omega is a great company. They've got a couple of events coming up this year that I do want to mention. They've got Revention or whatever. They got an event in Oklahoma coming up. They've got one in Pennsylvania. Um, but yeah, there's going to be some great. Check them out on Facebook, things like that. I do want to play Airsoft soon. I'm seeing some of these comments down below. And I think I'm going to try to play Airsoft this weekend. I see Alex is talking about that down in the comments, so I'm going to try to do that. Um, I do see I do see some people commenting down there that large gatherings have been restricted. They're trying to have like social distancing policies, which I understand, but those are mainly for like enclosed areas from what I've understood. Like here in New York, because we're starting to implement that with our colleges and things like that, it's really kind of shady. Like there's some things that apply. I think it's going to be mainly to like indoor, like places that have kind of caps on them. So we do have a question down in the comments below asking how long CO2 powered pistols usually last. I'm trying. That can mean one of two things. If you're referring to how long the actual CO2, which I've actually got one right here, how long this will last in the magazine, typically like 4 or 5 mags, depending on what it is. It depends if you have a blowback, a half blowback, or a non-blowback. Obviously, if you have the full gas blowback where the slider tracks all the way, that's going to take up the most gas. If you have a non-blowback, like a Tokyo Marui Mark 23, even though those aren't CO2, I mean, those are really not going to take up that much gas. So I would say about 4 or 5 mags off of a single CO2. If you're wondering about maintenance, leaking, I see as well. The better that you take care of your airsoft guns, the longer they're going to last, obviously. So on a gun, like let's say the Elite Force 1911 TAC, that's probably the most popular CO2 airsoft gun here in the United States. As long as you take care of them, I mean, they last pretty long. The big thing is going to be making sure that your seals are lubricated. And as long as you take care of the moving parts, make sure that any seals, gaskets, things like that are lubricated, it's going to last longer. Now, the nice thing, if you do buy an Elite Force pistol, for the most part, they have pretty good part support here in the US. So, especially in the 1911 TAC, I think you can buy every single piece of that gun separately except for the frame. So if you ever have something break, if you have your magazine leak, they sell replacement kits. An exact time frame, I can't say. It depends how often you use your pistol. I tend to use my pistols a lot, so I tend to do maintenance on them more often than some people. A lot of people just keep it as like their last resort type gun. But realistically, if you take care of your airsoft gun, give it a good cleaning, ideally every time after you use it, but every 2 or 3, you'll probably be fine. Um, I think that they can last you a very long time. The same goes for green gas pistols as well. However, if you're using something like CO2 or even an HPA power source for your airsoft pistols, they are going to wear down faster because they tend to be more of a dry gas compared to green gas, which has silicone built into it. I did have a question earlier asking me about my current loadout and wanting to see it. Unfortunately, it's not here in the room with me, but I do plan on doing more loadout videos in the future, not only for my own kits and impressions, but I want to feature other people as well. Something that I've really come to the realization of in the last year or so on the channel is that realistically, the thing that makes me enjoy airsoft is my friends. It is the people that I go out and play airsoft with that make me enjoy this. It's not, I don't want to say it's necessarily the game of airsoft that isn't what makes me enjoy it. I do enjoy playing airsoft, but I have the most fun in this hobby when I'm with great people. So I want to focus more of that on the channel. I want to focus more of my friends. I want to feature more people because ultimately that's what makes me enjoy airsoft. And the goal of this channel is to kind of make other people enjoy airsoft and get more enjoyment, have a better time while they play. But as for my current loadout, I did a video a while ago, and it's pretty similar. I still use a Spirit of Systems chest rig. I flip either between a Beyond multicam uniform or a True Spec M81 uniform, depending on exactly what it is. The thing that I find interesting is going to some of these Western traditional events, like again Omega Productions. You can't have all that gear, so like their motto is like less is more, and I've enjoyed going to those games because it makes me realize what I don't need on me, and I'm at the point right now is that I can go onto the airsoft field with just my Spirit of Systems chest rig, and I'm good. Like I have like two EPMs, which is great. Um, at that point, two EPMs, a bottle of water, and my radio. I'm good to go for the most part, except for like protection equipment like my goggles and things like that. So I really start to see some of the benefits of not carrying as much on the field. I saw a question down there asking about my opinion on ICS guns. I've actually got one here to review. It's their, I think it's the BLE pistol. I don't quite remember. I got it in a Fox Airsoft mystery box a while ago, and I've been less than impressed with it. Now that's their gas blowback pistols. ICS is not known for that. They're known more so for their AEGs and the split gearbox design. I think the issue is that ICS hasn't like while the split gearbox is a good idea, I don't think they've put out anything great or revolutionary in the last couple of years or nothing that really gets them noticed. Like the only ICS product that comes to mind right now that's like brand new is going to be their Hera Arm CQB, which is imported here in the US by ASG. I think that's a very niche product. I think that the Hera Arms guns are super ugly. So not a lot of people are obviously buying them. They kind of look like a space gun. So I think that they don't make a lot of traditional guns, and I think that's why they don't get as much notice or most notice and field time here in the US. That could be different in other parts of the world. It's pretty weird to see an ICS here in the US. But I think if they went out and like I hate to say it because there's so many of them, if they made a Mark 18 clone, if they made a standard M4, which I'm super excited about from VFC by the way, not to get off track, I think that if they made more of these traditional guns, made some M-Lock guns, as sick as I am seeing M-Lock M4s, I think that they would be great. I had another question down in the comments asking how I feel about belt loadouts. I think that it's kind of the ultimate less is more. Um, because you only have your belt. I think that there are certain belt systems that are better than others. Some have advantages that some do not. So let's take, for example, the Ronin Tactics belt, the TYR Gunfighter, or the Eagle Industries. I don't remember the exact name, but it's basically these really tiny war belts. They're about 2 inches from top to bottom, and they have two half rows of moly. They're comprised of a hard outer belt and a inner belt as well. So they Velcro together. I think that they're great because they don't ride up or ride down on your body. When you see some of the older belt kits that use like the HSGI belts, the Condor belt, the really like the 6 inch tall, like huge padded ones. The issue that I find with those is that they move around and they're heavy and they don't stay in place. However, if you're going to use those with like suspenders and you're going to basically have like a more modern belt kit, I think that those can work well for better loads. I think that there's systems out there that use harnesses that do really well, kind of like the Smerch system from Russia. I think that those work really well, but it depends on what you want. If you want the most minimalist belt kit that you can get, so maybe like two Kiwi pouches for magazines, a holster, maybe a dump pouch on there. I think that they can work great, and really that's something that I want to develop. It's something that I've never built in Airsoft. Um, so I think that they can be interesting. I think they have to be done right, and as you add more and more on it, realistically, at that point, you should just buy a chest rig. First question that I'm going to answer is going to be my opinions on lipos for beginner players. Lipos are better than nickel metal hydride. The issue with lipos is that they tend to require more care and more specialized products. So you need to go out and buy a lipo charger. You're going to want to buy a lipo sack to keep your house from catching on fire potentially. I think that they have advantages, and I think that more so the important part is more airsoft guns that are being marketed towards younger players have the electrical protection to use lipos. So if you want to spend the money on them, because they can be a little bit more, especially if you want to go with something nicer like a Titan battery, they can be beneficial. They just take a little bit more care than nickel metal hydride. But I think that lipos are a great investment. It's going to give you a better trigger response. It's going to give you a little bit higher rate of fire, a little bit more velocity as well occasionally. But I think they're worth the investment. Just definitely do your research on it. Make sure that you do it right. Another question was, how do I feel about Falcon? Um, oh God, what a I should not have chosen this one. I think that Falcon is really marketed towards beginner players, and that is it. So for a player like myself, I've been playing for about 10 years. Falcon products don't interest me whatsoever because I'm not their target market. They're looking for the brand new airsoft player who needs something cheap, needs it readily available because Falcon's in almost every single airsoft store. If you go to any local airsoft store, especially like the one attached to your local field, a local hobby store, you're gonna find Falcon. Um, so I think that I'm just not in their target audience. So I don't really like Falcon products. I think that they have some good things in their inventory. Don't get me wrong. Like their masks are pretty good. I like the Falcon Sierra goggles a lot. I will do a review on those one day. They're just kind of a cheap product, so it's been on the back burner because they're only like $30 for these goggles. I like those. Falcon's also an Elite Force distributor now, if I remember correctly. So, for a from a store standpoint, becoming a Falcon dealer makes a lot of sense, especially now that they have that Elite Force partnership that I just mentioned. You can get a lot of products from one distributor. They have two warehouses. I think they have one on each coast. So I think that it's great for fields, but again, for Falcon products, I'm not their target player. They're not trying to give one of their $90 sniper rifles to someone who's been playing for 10 years per se. I had someone ask if I am old enough to drink. I am 22 years old. My airsoft friends have destroyed my liver, and I will leave it at that. But anyways, just kind of going forward, talking about some of the products that I am excited for going forward. I think one of them, like the most exciting thing that I saw at SHOT Show, which was a couple of months ago, was the VFC M4A1. Now, this is kind of weird for me because when I started playing Airsoft, the only thing that you could get was like an M4 with a quad rail. That was all that existed, or like an M16. It's at the point now, those are the hard things to get, which is kind of funny that it's coming full circle because now Elite Force is starting to make them again. GMP made a lot of those guns, sure, but GMP isn't super common in the US. I think their only distributor at the moment is Evike, but I'm excited for that VFC M4A1. I think the cool thing that they did is they have it so that it comes with a 14.5-inch barrel, but it's a two-piece barrel. So if you want to, you can take off that 14.5-inch barrel and bring it down to a 10.5 or a 10.3-inch barrel, which, you know, as someone who enjoys impressions, that's really convenient because I can go from like your standard grunt rifle to something a little bit more high speed, you know, maybe throw on a suppressor on the 10.3-inch barrel rather quickly. Otherwise, I think that SHOT Show was kind of disappointing. There wasn't anything that like really screamed out to me as, wow, what a great innovation in Airsoft. And I think that's kind of where we are at this point, is that things are getting kind of stale, and I don't see like much development going on. Again, if you want to submit questions for me to answer, make sure to leave them down in the chat below. I will get to them. But yeah, SHOT Show kind of sucked this year, and I think it wasn't great last year. I think the only, now that I think about it, the only good innovation was the EPM1 from PTS, and the fact that they are going to be making mags for other platforms. If I remember correctly, specifically the SR25, those have been requested for years. G36 EPMs, like 10 people have been asking for those for 10 years. So yeah, I think that there is some. Oh, the mall as well. Thank you, Eric. I think that there are some neat things coming out, but I think that PTS really ran the show. I think that there are people who always have pretty good turnouts there. G&G always kind of has some neat stuff. Elite Force always does pretty well because they carry so many different brands, but there's nothing that was like genuinely interesting in my opinion, except for a couple of things. The EPM1 is exciting. Those are available now at PTS dealers. I have not gotten a chance to use one yet. I haven't been playing Airsoft much very lately because it's been so bad out weather-wise, but I'm excited to try them. Realistically, I enjoy my regular EPMs, and while I do see the advantage in having, you know, 200 rounds into your high cap or in your mid cap, it's kind of blurring the lines these days between a high cap and a mid cap. I just don't see myself spending $30 each to switch them. Um, so I do want to cover real quick, because I've seen some people asking about internals. My plans for my newest Airsoft purchase, which I mentioned earlier in the live stream, but for those of you who missed it, I did buy a VFC MP5 A5. These have been out for about a year or so now, at least here in the US. Realistically, my plans for this is that while it does use a standard V2 gearbox, which is nice, so I can use a lot of parts that I would typically use. I think I'm going to do a DSG. I'm not going to be the one to build that. I don't have the technical experience. I'm not sure where I'm going to go yet. If you have suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. But definitely something like a Gate Titan. I've seen some other things out there like the Jeftron. I've never had a chance to like use one in person, but I've got a gun with a Gate Titan, my Mark 18, which is on the other side of the room. I love the thing to death. That's one of my favorite guns to this day. So the Gate Titan is almost a must-have for any AEG that I'm going to buy nowadays. And I think it's interesting that a lot of companies are either starting to put MOSFETs like these in their airsoft guns, or they're going to start, you know, there's some collaborations that you see where certain companies are going to put gates right in them. Like the company that comes to mind is Specna Arms, which hasn't really taken off in the US. I know it's popular in other parts of the world. I'm excited to see how those turn out. I've heard they've had some QC issues, not necessarily with the gate, but with some other parts of the gun, because that's just something I've heard from other people. You know, I can't say that for sure, but I think that it'll be interesting. I see that someone down in the comments is looking to HPA their own MP5. I thought about this for this. The reason why I wanted to build this MP5 specifically as an AEG is because a lot of the fields around me are getting weird about HPA. So one field around me has reduced it for a while. It might have changed down to 1 joule. So either you have like sniper limits where you have a 100-foot minimum, or you are under 1 joule. And the issue is with me, the issue that I see with that is when you're shooting at someone 150, 175 feet away, they're going to stop feeling your BBs. Even if you're using something heavier like a 3.2, a 3.6, because you should be using heavier BBs in your HPA airsoft guns. I see a lot of issues with that, and I can only see it getting worse. Because it seems like once or twice a year, there's some kid out there that does something stupid, and everyone freaks out. Oh, it's ban HPA. So I wanted to build a steady AEG that I can use pretty much anywhere. Um, so really my plan for this is, again, with the DSG to have a high rate of fire, so I can use this at an event like Desert Fox events, which has an SMG class. At the same time, I get a super snappy semi-automatic as well for other fields and things like that. But really, I just want to build something that's all around capable. Looking in the ejection port of this gun, I really, the hop up, I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't think it's a standard V2, but, that'll just limit some of the options that I have. Um, Someone's asking if I'm going to be getting a mystery box, and the answer is I typically don't. Now, I did get one from Fox Airsoft earlier this year because I like kind of the smaller ones. I had a really poor experience with a mystery box about 8 years ago, and it's kind of deterred me from them ever since. So, about 8, 9 years ago, I actually got an Airsoft GI mystery box. At the time, they were one of the only people doing it, and at the time, Airsoft GI was like the biggest retailer out there. So I got it, and I got a gun from a company called Javelin Gunworks. I don't think they exist anymore. I've heard that they are now APS. I could be wrong about that. But this gun was bad. It was a quad rail M4, which, just a sign of the times that, quad rail M4s were the only thing that you could get. I think that it was just a bad purchase on my end because the mystery box was like 150 bucks. Back then, a combat machine was $140. Back when they had quad rails as well. So for $140, I could have gotten a way better gun. And I was allured by like, hey, like you could get like a KWA SR10, which at the time was actually a really good gun. You could get I think they had like VFCs back in the day at Airsoft GI. You could get the Shytac M200 Intervention, which I was like, oh, like that was back when Modern Warfare 2 was popular. So I was like, man, I could be like quick scoping people like we're on Rust. Um, so I was super excited. I got all starry-eyed, and I got a really bad gun. So a lot of mystery boxes have kind of turned me the wrong way. I do like some of the smaller ones. Like I like stuff where you get multiple products, like the Fox Airsoft mystery boxes. And full disclosure, they are a sponsor of the channel, but I like that they have different things in them, and it doesn't really feel like an inventory dump like other like other mystery boxes. Like a lot of mystery boxes, you're getting the guns that they can't sell. Um, so I think that they're all right. It depends on what you're getting. Again, I like the ones that come with a bunch of different little things. Like in my personal life, I like some of those kind of like monthly subscription boxes where you get stuff. But like where you're getting one airsoft gun, that's just not my thing. I saw a question down in there that was asking about going between a high kappa 4.3 or an ASG Shadow 2 pistol. Realistically, it depends on what you're going to use it for. If you want a pistol as your primary, buy the high kappa. Um, I would suggest that because there's more aftermarket part support. So you're going to be able to turn that into a nice race gun. There's going to be things that you can get. I just don't think that while the Shadow is a good pistol, don't get me wrong, the KJW line of pistols that they make for ASG are fantastic. I own one myself. I had the PO9. I don't think that they're good enough to be your primary compared to a high kappa. The reason for that is magazines. While you can HPA tap them because they do make green gas magazines, you don't get that capacity. And again, you don't have a lot of the aftermarket support like replacement hop-ups, barrels, slides, mounts for optics, things like that. I think that you're just better off getting a high kappa because there's a better market for it. And I would argue even to an extent that picking up a TM Glock um, would be a better route. While they're not as good as the high kappas, in my opinion, they can be made pretty nice. I do have a TM G17 with the PTS Atom slide they used to make. But yeah, overall, I think that if you want it as a primary, the high kappa is the way to go. If you just want something that's going to be your backup, maybe you use it like occasionally as your primary, but not all the time. Go ahead and buy the ASG. I think that they are nice pistols, but if you only only want to use a pistol, the high kappa is going to be the way to go because of part support. So I am taking questions down in the comments below, and I do want to address, first off, thank you guys so much. This was kind of a impromptu Q&A. I am filming this on my phone, actually, which would explain why it sounds a little bit different than typical videos. I've actually been going through some pretty bad dry eye over the last week or so. So I was like, what, let's do a live video. It's going to be easier on me than editing a video for 3 hours, posting it. So this is just impromptu. I got my phone on a tripod. I'm taking my questions right off of my computer. Um, Thank you for letting me know that you just got a notification for this 30 minutes into the show. YouTube's notifications are kind of a mess and they don't really work, but I do suggest getting it. I did have someone in the comments asking if I play PC games, and the answer is no. I don't have a strong enough computer. So the games that I do play are going to be on my Xbox One because I'm a casual. But the games that I play primarily, I am enjoying Modern Warfare a lot. I haven't played the new Battle Royale mode because it's like a 80 gigabyte update from what I understand, and because my eyes have been dry and kind of hard to see things on screens, I haven't been playing video games for the last couple of weeks. My favorite games of all time are going to be from a multiplayer game, Battlefield 3. I've just got so many hours of my childhood wasted on that game. And then my all-time game besides that is Fallout New Vegas. Same deal. I have dumped so many countless hours into that game, and I think it is the best Fallout game. If anyone asks, I didn't play 76 because I knew it was a piece of garbage from the start, so I don't really have any opinion on that game. I just keep on seeing the disaster that Bethesda's in, and I wouldn't play it for free at this point. But I did have someone ask if I've ever shot real firearms, and yes, I have. I do own firearms. Um, Again, I live in New York State. Firearm laws are kind of interesting here, where we can only have 10 rounds in a detachable box magazine. So my selection here is kind of limited. Most of my shooting is with legal ARs and with like 1022s. The coolest gun I've ever shot was an HK91. I shot that when I was out of state, and man, I wanted a G3 so bad. Like I wanted one of the LCT ones for a long time, and then one of my friends was having some issues and it weighed like 10 pounds, and I was like, wow, this isn't going to be very effective. But the HK91 is easily the coolest gun that I shot. That's like a civilian non-HK G3 for anyone that does not know. But yeah, I do shoot firearms as much as I can. Um, Again, if there's only more hours in the day, I would do it more. I did see a question down there asking if I will review a Daytona gun. The answer is no, mainly because I don't have one and I'm not going to spend the money on it. For the most part, the guns that I review here on the channel, I purchase, which is why I take a while on some reviews. Like the Wolverine MTW review made a lot of people mad. Because there's this weird thing in Airsoft where if I say nice things about a gun, I am a sellout. If I say bad things about the gun, I'm just a troll. There's no middle ground, apparently. But the MTW review took me over a year because it was a $900 gun, and I wanted to do the review justice. Now, some people did not like my review of the MTW, like I mentioned. I think eventually I will redo it because most of my qualms with the gun were with the Wraith stock, and people's argument was, well, that's not the gun, that's an aftermarket attachment, but it's made specifically for the MTW, and the marketing was that you could easily swap out these parts, and that's what failed me, the power source. So I might touch it again. I've actually got it right here. It's just been kind of chilling, doing a whole lot of nothing. I got a feeling that some of these accessories are going to end up on the MP5 that I bought, but I haven't been playing Airsoft very often, so it's kind of been on the workbench, just kind of sitting there being lonely. I've got to get some replacement parts for it, things like that. But I don't think I'm going to do a Daytona gun review because it's kind of it matters on the gun you put it in and the install. I'm not saying that I won't feature them in the channel. I just think that I think that it's it's a really touchy thing to talk about because every build is different. I did see someone ask if I'm going for school for anything. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, I am a broadcasting student at the State University of New York, which is currently shut down because of coronavirus. So my life is kind of a mess right now. Going through some other questions real quick. Is KSC a good brand? They're pretty good. I think that KWA, their strong point was their pistols, even though they had some problems. They're very snappy pistols. In my opinion, I used to have a KWA USP way back in the day. I've owned a KWA MP7. Those are great despite some of their issues that they have, like the body's cracking after some time. So I think that they are pretty decent. Another question, real quick. What do I feel about Umbrella Armories, specifically their LVOA? I think that Umbrella Armories are. I think that they're good guns. The thing about them, though, is is it worth spending $1,000 for you on an airsoft gun? The answer for me is no. After the MTW coming out at about $900 for the gun before attachments, but I switched those out on guns, so I don't quite count that. For me, a $900 airsoft gun isn't worth it because I don't play like it as much as I wish I did. If I played every single weekend, yeah, I could see that being worth it. The way that I justify purchases, in my personal opinion, is the cost divided by the amount of times that I'm going to use it. So I'll spend a lot of money on something I use every day, like my car, for example. But like, I wouldn't spend like thousands of dollars on something that I use a couple of times a year, maybe not even that. Someone just said in the comments, yeah, I'd rather put that money towards an event to go use my $300 airsoft gun. And just because this gun costs $1,000 doesn't mean that there aren't better things for, well, not better things, but comparable things for less money. I could buy, again, a VFC MP5. This is $350. Put a gate tighten, a better hop up and barrel in it, and I'm pretty much halfway there. There's only there's only a certain amount of range that an airsoft gun is going to shoot, and some of the price on that Umbrella Armory's gun is going to be things like the PTS rail, the stock, the grip, the man hours of putting all that stuff in there. So I think that they can be worth it. It's just it matters if you're going to use it enough to be worth it for you. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your own money. If it's worth it, buy it. If it's not, go with something a little bit cheaper. New question. My opinion on speed softers. They're airsofters. I mean, we're all dressing up and playing pretend just in different ways. I don't care. Like, I don't know a better way to explain it other than I don't care how people play airsoft as long as they play honestly. And I know someone is probably going to say in the comments, well, speed softers cheat, they overshoot. Honestly, I have seen more Milsim players melt down over the years on the airsoft field than speed softers. I've seen more grown men yelling at like adults, or I've seen more grown men and adults yelling at teenagers in the Milsim scene than people melting down in the speedsoft scene. I think that speedsofters have this notoriety about them because of some viral videos that have happened over the last couple of years, like Rest in Peace Kid. But I mean, realistically, like we're all losers playing with toy guns in the woods or in an abandoned warehouse. So like, I just don't care. I think that speedsofters, if anything, are smarter because they aren't wasting a lot of weight and energy on stuff that they don't need. They go out there with a pistol with a drum attached to it, and they've got 3,000 rounds that they never have to reload in something that is 8 inches long. Like, that's pretty smart if you think about it. And that's kind of the way that I've been adapting to myself, is that I like the Milsim like aesthetic, but I see the advantages of playing in Speedsoft. So that's why I bought something like an MP5 because I wanted something that had the gearbox and the range of an AEG but was small and compact. Now, while this gun weighs like 7 pounds, seriously, this little tiny gun weighs just about as much as my Mark 18. Like I like that it's small because I want to be mobile and I want to be aggressive when I play. But otherwise, really, I don't care about what someone wears or how they play airsoft. If anything, again, I think speedsofters are smarter. And die masks are super comfortable and not having to worry about a lower and a top. I think that I think that those are really nice, and I want to pick one up eventually. Asking about reusable grenades. I generally don't like reusable airsoft grenades for a couple of reasons. The main reason why I don't like them is you don't get them back sometimes. Sometimes you go to throw your tornado over the wall, guy dies, and he picks it up and steals it. I hate to say that, it happens more often than you would think, or you just don't find it because you're at an outdoor field and you throw it in the brush. For me personally, my grenade of choice is the EG67. It is a one-time grenade by Enola Gay. They're made out of like paper mache and filled with dry peas. Those are my favorite grenades. They're not super expensive. I think they're like $10 or $12 depending on where you go, or if you buy them in bulk. And I've yet to have one fail. The disadvantage with them is because they're made out of paper mache, you can stomp them out sometimes if you're fast enough. I just don't like reusable grenades. If you're going to go with one, though, Airsoft Innovations is the way to go. I think that Thunder Bees don't have a place in Airsoft anymore. They only work like half the time in my experience. They're big, they're bulky. I just don't think that they're very good. But overall, I don't really like reusable grenades. I just think that they get lost, they get stolen, or they just don't work half the time, which is kind of disappointing in my opinion. But I am going to take some more questions if anyone is looking to ask anything during today's Q&A section. And while we've got this little lull, real quick, I do want to say thank you guys so much. Again, I know that anything hasn't been there hasn't been as many videos on the channel, but I still appreciate your support. Going back to Speedsofters, asking about the beanies. Honestly, I think that it's a low profile way to cover the back of your head and some of the more like delicate bits, like your ears and the way back of your head. I think that it's low profile and it's padded. So I think that's why a lot of them wear it. But, you know, I'm not one of them, so I can't ask them because I graduated high school, so I'm not a 16-year-old speed softer. Look at that stereotype. But yeah, anyways, Eric, I will upload that video, which brings up a good point. I do have some collaborations coming. I mentioned this earlier. I have a series that I did a video on about a little bit over a year ago called the Airsoft Armory, which was actually named after a. When I graduated high school, I started an airsoft business, but that's a video for a future day. I started a series, and I kind of didn't do much with it called the Airsoft Armory. It was received really well, so I want to bring it back. And basically, it's taking a look at custom builds in the airsoft world. Now, not all of them are going to be from myself. I do have some builds here that I'm going to do, like the MPW, my Mark 18. Eventually, this MP5 I will do one on, but it's going to be exciting. I've got some collaborations again with gun gamers. I'm going to be doing pistols, rifles, light machine guns, sniper rifles. So I think that it will be very expensive. Or very wow, I lost my train of thought. I think it will be expensive because all these gun builds are going to be pretty high end. But at this point, I really just it's going to be exciting. There's a lot of stuff I want to do this year, and I'm hoping that once I get my between my college I'm at now and my transfer college, however that may play out, I think that it'll be a fun little series and a great way to again collaborate because I want to do more with other people here on the channel. But we've been doing this for about 45 minutes or so now, so I think we're gonna wrap it up in the near future. I do have a class to go to later in the day. Something I do want to do is do some community involvement. Kind of feature some more of like you guys, kind of maybe on like social media or in some videos we might do something like that. I do want to reach out and do more collaborations with people. But I do see a question that is just plate carrier. I don't even know what you quite mean by that. If I like plate carriers, yeah, I do like plate carriers. I have a JPC 2.0 from Z-Shot, which I really enjoy, despite the fact that it is a replica. I did a review on that last year. It's good. I think they're a little close to the price point of a real cry, so I don't quite see the reason to buy it. But on that, I will throw my Spirit of Systems chest rig. So whether I'm wearing a plate carrier or not, I'll typically wear them inside or at events where I get like an extra life for wearing a plate carrier. I think that they work. I think that they serve their purpose. If you want to carry extra things on them, they work. But if you don't carry a lot of things, going with a little chest rig and a backpack works just as fine. But plate carriers are cool. That's really like my deciding factor for wearing a plate carrier is, hey, it's cool to wear this piece of armor and things like that. Well, I do get a little bit extra carrying capacity. The way that I have my plate carrier set up is again is the JPC 2.0. So what I'll do is I'll throw my Spirit of Systems chest rig on the front because of the swift clip system. The sides I run slick. So I just have a 1-inch webbing piece that goes between it so nothing stays on the side. I like that so that my HSGI taco on my left side, my dump pouch on my left side, and my holster on the right hand side are not caught by anything. On the back, I'll either run it slick with just a hydration bladder, or I have a zip-on panel for some larger games. So I have like a little assault pack on there that Cry makes. It is the 2.0 pack zip-on, I believe it's called, from Z-Shot. They're about 150 bucks, which I really don't think is worth the money. So I'll probably sell it eventually and just switch to something custom. But I like that modularity in my system so that I can easily go from a chest rig to a plate carrier. Ken, thank you so much for staying. Thank you guys for everyone that's been in this. I think that there are some great systems out there, such as like the D3 system. So going with like a Haley Strategic D3 and then a flat pack as well. I think those are nice middle grounds as well. I did that for a while. Asking about Simas, are they worth it? The AKs, absolutely. Buy one that's metal, that has real wood or good polymer. They're great guns for $150. Simas can't be beat for their value. The issue is they shoot a little hot. So, you're probably going to have to downgrade your spring because they shoot like 410 occasionally. Most of the time, I should say. As for their DMRs and other platforms, I've never used them, so I'm not sure. Sima, to me, has always been the AK brand. Like, they make M4s as well, I know that. They make some other things. I just don't, I've never used them. But for the AKs, I think that they're the best AK that you can buy at this point. E&Ls have really bad quality control. They don't get into the US very often. LCTs have their own quality control problems, especially with the hop-ups. I think the LCTs are solid. They don't like upgrades from what I've found. From my friends that own LCTs, I just don't, a lot of them have had issues putting in things like Gate Titans, new gears, hop-ups, things like that. They just haven't liked it. Simas take everything. I think that the LCT and the E&L bodies are better. The E&Ls are blued steel, which you got to take care of it a little bit more. But overall, I think that Simas are the best AKs that you can buy, which is funny because they're the cheapest out of those three brands, I should say. So I think that they are pretty good, but I think that they can definitely use some upgrades, use some downgrades as well, especially with the spring. But Simas are one of those brands that I'm surprised I don't own one at this point, but they work really, really well, in my opinion. But I am going to do that as the final question for today because I do have a class that I have to go to figure out how my non-online class major is going to do online classes, which will be fun. Thank you all so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. Again, because I'm about to go on to spring break, I have time to make Airsoft videos. So expect like a full video in the near future. But that's going to do it for today. If you're not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and then hit the bell icon next to it. While it's not perfect, it does give you updates. If you want to see more streams, things like that, maybe something that's a little bit more planned. This was kind of planned in the last day or so. Make sure to let me know. We'll do a little bit better production value. I'm doing today's video on my phone. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend, your spring breaks if you're going to be on it. And don't buy all the toilet paper and hand sanitizer, I guess. But this has been Lane from the BB Warrior, and I'll see you all next time.